Hello, so nice to see folks coming into the room. Happy Saturday. And hope wherever you are that you're having a great weekend. And happy November. Here we are in November, and it's a month to be thinking and singing about gratitude. And we've also pegged a couple of weeks that are going to be new Friends Weeks, where we're going to have lots of new song leaders in the room. So please stick around and come as much as you can this month. I want to start by saying thank you to Carpe Diem Arts for keeping this daily antidote going day after day after day. We are somewhere around 1,300, and I'm not sure for. Maybe someone will give me a cue. And thanks so much again for joining us today here. So hello to everybody out there on the live stream. And for anybody that's new, the Daily Antidote is one sing-along song every day at noon Eastern. It's 365 days a year, and you can pop in and join us anytime here in the room or on the live stream, and we welcome you here. I'm going to start by saying hello to Eleuthera, who's joining us. You know what, Eleuthera, I don't actually remember where you're joining from.
Oh, Montreal.
Montreal, that's right, I did know that. Okay, Eleuthera coming in from Montreal. She's our song leader for the day. Thanks so much for being here today, and we can't wait to sing with you. Hello to Leah, who may be new to us today. I'm not sure. It's great to have you with us. Thanks for being here, and I'm not sure where you're from, but maybe we can connect later. Hello to Delhi in Maryland, Nancy's Irish Cow in Washington State, Trish in Victoria, British Columbia. Hello to Aloysius in Westford, Mass. Hello to Arlene in Berkeley, California, Sheila in Florida, Pauline and Dad in Newcastle, UK. Glad you guys are both here today. And a big hug to William over there in the background. Hello to Cricket in Maryland. Hello to Ruth and Clive and Phil. What? Okay, that's completely amazing. All right, I can't see where the is, but I'm gonna see if I can look at it here. Ruth in Birmingham. Okay, so there's Travelin' Phil over there in Birmingham, UK, with Ruth and Clive. And I have to say, it's so amazing when Daily Antidoters meet Daily Antidoters for the first time. So I'm really excited to see you guys together. Actually, it's not your first time. I think you attended one of the Black Lives Matter programs and you guys were there together. Maybe? Not sure. Yes. Okay. Hello to Sue in Seattle. Great to have you today. Kathleen in Albuquerque. Hello. Luda and Mark in Victoria. Nice to see you today. Wait, Victoria. Yes. Vancouver? Oh no, I'm forgetting. I'm terrible today. All right, Storm in Massachusetts, Hoda in British Columbia, Antonina in California, and Knoxville, Annette in California, Fred in Silver Spring, Maryland, Marcia coming in from Huntsville somewhere. Nice to have you. And I wish my screen showed more about all of these things. I'm trying to see if I can find it. Huntsville, Ontario. Thanks for being here. Jane in Texas, Bonnie in Boise, Idaho, Martha Wagner in Oregon. Nice to see you. And let's see who's on page 2. Kathy and Chico in Denver. Nice to see you. Athena in Brooklyn. Thank you, Athena, for reminding me that today is in fact not 1304. It is 1308, wherever those last 4 days went. And Kevin Ennis coming in from New Hampshire, also reminding me day 1308. Thanks, you guys. You're right next to each other, and I love it. Bob coming in from Massachusetts, Moon in Alexandria, Caroline in DC, Curly Tops in Vermont, Shari in New Hampshire, and Kat in Vermont, Ann in Nashville, Elizabeth in California, Julie in Ontario. So glad you guys are all here today. Let's all take a deep breath. Yeah, just a warning. I'm hosting and teching. You guys all know how that goes. So we're going to turn the floor over to our fabulous singer, Eleuthera, who's been with us. I think this is her third time. And we're so glad she's here sharing a song about gratitude. And I'm going to let her do all the explaining and take the floor. Thanks, Eleuthera. Glad to have you.
Wonderful. Thanks, Joe. So this song is one of my compositions. It's called Before All Else. And the story behind the song is I went to a fundraiser for the Wet'suwet'en, an indigenous peoples on the west coast of Canada that had been fighting to protect their traditional trapping grounds from Coastal GasLink TransCanada trying to build a pipeline through it. So I went to a fundraiser and I met this amazing woman who, from the first moment that I met her, it like just took me into her arms and had so much warmth. And we became good friends, and I ended up hosting a bunch of fundraisers to help them protect their land. And one night we were talking on the phone, and she asked me if I would write a song for her. And I assumed that she was going to ask me to write a song decrying the actions of the Canadian government and Coastal GasLink TransCanada. But she asked me to write a song of thanks, and that just like touched me so deeply. And it made me think about the Ohondon Gariwadeguan, the words that come before all else. In the 12 nations of the Haudenosaunee, they all have this practice where at the beginning of their gatherings, they give thanks. They give thanks for the earth and sky and the moon and sun and all the creatures, the two-leggeds, the four-leggeds, the flying creatures, the swimming creatures. And every single gathering begins in this way. And so when it's a shorter gathering, they maybe spend an hour doing so. But there are times where it's like, if it's a month-long gathering, they can spend days and days and days just giving thanks. And this is so deeply inspiring. And I was just, wondering how different our culture would be if that was interwoven into it. And so the speaker will be like, for all the two-leggeds, and like describes them, and then we give thanks, and then everybody else responds, our minds are as one. And so it's from this place of everyone being connected that they begin any serious discussions about anything, any decisions their nations have to make. So I found this deeply inspiring, and I wanted to share it with you. I'll invite you to sing along on the choruses. The verse is in Spanish. I'm Uruguayan. And so the English translation to the Spanish verse is, I give thanks to the earth, the sky, the sacred herbs, to the water flowing and clear, the creatures that fly and swim, sisters of life, similar to us, they inspire. Who can stop us if we are united? Who can silence our song? Who can live without this planet? We are rising, witnesses to this destruction. And I'll teach you the chorus so you can sing along with me. We'll do it line by line. It goes, before all else, we give a thanks to creation. Try it with me. Before all else, we give a thanks to creation. Great. Before all else, we list our blessings long. Your turn. Before all else, we list our blessings long. Before all else, we rise as many nations. Before all else, we rise as many nations. All eyes on what is done, our minds as one. Your turn. All eyes on what is done, our minds as one. Yeah, great. Let's try the chorus all together. Before all else, we give a thanks to creation. Before all else, we list our blessings long. Before all else, we rise as many nations. All eyes on what is done, our minds as one. Great, so that chorus comes up a couple times throughout the song, and then I'll sing the Spanish verse and bring you back in. All right, so let's do it. Can everyone see the lyrics in the chat? You just have to scroll up a bit because there's an English translation. Great, let's do it. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Before all else, we give a thanks to creation. Before all else, we list our blessings long. Before all else, we rise as many nations. All eyes on what is done, our minds as one. Spanish verse. Agradezco a la tierra, al cielo, las hierbas sagradas, al agua fluyendo y clara, las criaturas que vuelan, que nadan, hermanas de la vida, parecidas a nosotros nos inspiran. ¿Quién puede pararnos si estamos unidos? ¿Y quién puede callar nuestra canción? ¿Y quién puede vivir sin este planeta? Levantamos, somos testigos de la destrucción. Chorus! Before all else, we give a thanks to creation. Before all else, we list our blessings long. Before all else, we rise as many nations. All eyes on what is done, our minds as one. One more time. Before all else, we give a thanks to creation. blessings long. Before all else, we rise as many nations. All eyes on what is done, our minds as one. Last line again. All eyes on what is done, our minds as one.
Wow. Eleuthera, thank you so much. That was so incredibly beautiful. And I didn't really want to stop singing it yet. So, like, we could maybe just, you know, instead of having any discussion, let's just sing for the whole half an hour. Just repeat that over and over again. It's tremendously beautiful. Thank you so much. And very, very powerful. And so, when Eleuthera and I were talking during the sound check, you did not mention, I mean, we just didn't get to it, about it having to do with the Haudenosaunee Nation. And I was just actually at the Richmond Folk Festival where I presented on the family stage Chris Thomas and his Smoke Dancers, who are Haudenosaunee, and just the whole peacefulness of their entire presentation, their focus on peace, their focus on gratitude, it was so moving and so incredible. So I love hearing from you, like, reinforcement that what I was seeing is actually such an important piece of how they present in the world and what they're really, focused on. And can you tell us more about the song and about your experiences with working with them?
Um, I mean, I think, so she's Wet'suwet'en, and I think like that's the whole kind of like backstory. That's most of what I have to share about the song and the backstory. We continue to be good friends. She's been I continue to host fundraisers for them. They've been fighting for their land for 4 years now, and unfortunately, just a couple days ago, oil started to run through those that pipeline. So they did not win, unfortunately, which breaks my heart because they fought so hard for so long, and it's just not right, that Indigenous land defenders are losing their livelihood and their well-being to defend lands that it's just so important that we're allies to them. It's so incredibly important, like in an active way, that we take to the streets, that we stand beside them in these protests, that we're vocal. It just sorry, I wasn't expecting to get so emotional. It's very dear to my heart. Um, yeah.
So, Eleuthera, thank you. And like, actually, the fact that you're getting so emotional, and that you're surprised by it, I feel like with the state of the world right now and the amount of communities and nations that need exactly that kind of rallying and that kind of support and that kind of, like, there's just so much grief right now. I sort of feel like
Yeah.
it really wouldn't, in some ways, matter which one you might bring up or I might bring up or any of us might bring up, that it could bring us to tears right now feels so obvious, right? I feel like we're all sort of walking in a bit of a, I don't know, not helpless days, but like, it's kind of like you get, and that's days, D-A-Z-E, not days, D-A-Y-S, like that we get up every day and we want to be able to make a difference and we want to be able to help make change. And we see this horror and we see the people in power who are doing things that aren't okay.
Mm-hmm.
And, there's folks rallying to make change and make it stop, but yet you see the ones that come through that the change didn't happen, didn't work, wasn't fast enough, whatever it was, right? And I feel like we're kind of looking at that globally right now. So
Yeah.
thank you for bringing real emotion right
Yeah.
now into the daily. I think there are a lot of people who are feeling it, and
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, and I think at this time it's so easy to go to a place of escapism and avoidance, and it's so important that we feel these things deeply and that we hold space for one another's feelings, that we listen, that we empathize, that we cultivate that sense of humanity and interconnectedness with all living beings. It's just so important right now. Right now, in order to do that, I direct the Phoenix Community Choir at the Unitarian Church of Montreal, and we've been singing songs of peace for the last, I guess, month or so, just trying to like hold space for each other's grief. We have Palestinian and Jewish members of the choir, so it's there's so much emotion there, and it's so beautiful to be able to lift our voices in song together and to not feel alone in it all. it's it's deeply moving and really essential at this time.
Beautiful. Thank you so much, Eleuthera. I've been sort of struggling with how much of the news I'm reading and or obsessing over,
Hmm.
and I found myself, there've been pictures in the news of parents holding their children in a shroud, in their arms. And I found myself going back to those photos again and again and staring at them, like, because I felt like it's joining my heart with them in some way that isn't probably meaningful to them in any way, right? It's bringing their pain in, it's feeling it, it's experiencing, it's giving me the strength to recognize how important it is that we are like working for this peace. And it's reminding me of whatever I'm dealing with in the world right now and how it isn't that, and that, the most we can feel, the most we cannot go numb is where we're going to find that energy, I believe, to be rallying harder and harder for the
Yeah.
peace, for the change, for the um yeah. So it's tough times right now, and maybe, I don't know, do you want to sort of conduct us in a little moment of silence here, a little moment of breath?
Ooh. Um, that's not something I've ever, not ever really done, but
I will do it if you prefer.
yeah, if you feel called, yeah, please.
Okay, so gang, we haven't done it in a while in this room. Some of us who've been here for a really long time might remember we were doing moments of silence, starting in April of 2020, May of 2020, when George Floyd was murdered. And we were actually doing moments of silence that were the 8 minutes and however many seconds it was that the policeman had his knee on his neck. And it was incredibly powerful. So rather than breeze through this and do a moment of silence that's going to be 10 seconds, let's go ahead and take a minute. Okay, everyone, do whatever you need in this moment, but I know I need it, and I hope it's helpful to others. Here we go. Thank you, everyone. And I'm going to just guess by the faces that I'm seeing that a lot of people actually needed that. It's sometimes in the quiet is where you can actually hear all the stuff that's in your head the best. And um, Eleuthera, I didn't expect that we were going on an emotional journey to this depth today, and I'm so grateful for what you've triggered for folks in here. And I want to thank you so much. Are there other things you'd like to share with us before we sing again? And
Well, I just want to thank Caroline in DC for putting in the chat a blurb about the Haudenosaunee, because yeah, it's a group of 6 nations, a confederacy, and in so the Ohondon Gariwadegon is the name for the words that come before all else in Ganyangeha, which is the language of the Ganyangahaga, the traditional custodians of these lands around Jojoge, Montreal, um, and yeah, the Wet'suwet'en are not part of the Haudenosaunee, but they have similar practices. And I'm most familiar with the Ganyangahaga practices because I live here and I'm in direct contact with them the most. So I just wanted to say that it's to kind of disentangle and be clear about the relationship.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And I did actually tell you ahead of time that like when I'm doing the tech and I'm doing that, it's my hosting is only semi-focused. So I heard you say Haudenosaunee, and I confess I didn't maybe make the best connections there, but thank you for giving me space, and thank you for all of the correcting you just did.
Of course.
Um, do you want to say anything about something that you've got coming up before we switch gears into the song?
Sure. Well, so I guess in these incredibly difficult times, um I used to be a soul blues singer, and my first album was like a breakup album. And over the last 5 years, like I've always been an environmental and social justice activist, and I'm trying more and more to like weave the two together. And it's been such a beautiful journey and so powerful to lead my choir and the church congregation in songs of social and environmental justice, and to write them for myself to have this catharsis and to bring them to others in situations like this. So I'm working on a new album called Crossing Over, and those songs are all about consolation and healing, and how we can best support one another in these difficult times, and how we can co-create a better world together, a more peaceful world, a more just world.
Thank you, Eleuthera. That is actually a beautiful way to segue back into the song, and I will hope to have you back again closer to your, your release and your work, so that we can talk about it more. But then you have to bring a song that's not going to like tear us to shreds. So
I can't promise that. My songs go deep, but I'll try.
I'm just teasing. I'm teasing. Would you please lead us again in the song?
Wonderful. Yeah, could you pop the lyrics in the chat?
Sure will.
Okay. Great. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Before all else, we give our thanks to creation. Before all else, we list our blessings long. Before all else, we rise as many nations. All eyes on what is done, our minds as one. Agradezco a la tierra, al cielo, las hierbas sagradas, al agua fluyendo y clara, las criaturas que vuelan, que nadan, hermanas de la vida, parecidas a nosotros, nos inspiran. ¿Quién puede pararnos si estamos unidos? ¿Y quién puede callar nuestra canción? ¿Y quién puede vivir sin este planeta? Levantamos, somos testigos de la destrucción. Before all else, we give our thanks to creation. Before all else, we list our blessings long. Before all else, we rise as many nations. All eyes on what is done, our minds as one. Before all else, we give our thanks to creation. Before all else, we list our blessings long. Before all else, we rise as many nations. All eyes on what is done, our minds as one. All eyes on what is done, our minds as one. Thank you for singing with me. It's so beautiful.
Thank you so much, Eleuthera. That was really super powerful. What a beautiful day. And one of the upsides of live streaming, one of the downsides is any mistake you make is recorded and whatever bumbles. One of the upsides is that you can go back to it and you can sing with it again and again and again all day long. And there are some days where that is exactly what I do. And I already know today is going to be one of those days. I know I need to hear that again, and I need to sing it, and actually sing it louder than what I was doing while I was, also teching here. And so thank you. Everybody, can we please show Eleuthera gratitude for bringing that to us? And Eleuthera, we can't wait to have you back in the room again with us.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So everyone, there are links in the chat for how to find out more about Eleuthera. Thank you, Eleuthera, also throwing them in there again right there. And also links in both of the live streams, same links. So you can also find them there after we close if you're looking for something. And I want to thank everybody in this room for making this a part of your Saturday, and thank everybody on the live stream also for joining us and making this a part of your Saturday. Let's say goodbye to everybody on the live stream. Thanks for being here. And help me wave Eleuthera out. Eleuthera, I hope you have nice weather today there in Montreal, and we can't wait to have you back with us again here. And here's wishing everybody in this room a happy rest of your Saturday, and hoping, of course, that we'll see you tomorrow to continue being present in the weekend all together. So thank you again. Ciao, Eleuthera. Thank you so much, Delhi in Maryland. Thank you, Arlene in California, Sheila in Florida, Pauline and Dad. There he is. Hi, William. Nice to see you. Thanks for joining us for singing today, coming in from Newcastle, UK. Love your smile. Cricket in Maryland, thank you so much. Ruth and Clive and Phil in Birmingham, which is amazing and awesome. And of course, Phil is also, I bet, loving his dad's smile over there in Newcastle. Sue in Seattle, thank you so much for being here today. Luda and Mark in Victoria, thank you. It's right there on the screen. I missed it before. Kathleen in Albuquerque, thank you so much. Hoda in British Columbia, thank you. Antonina in Santa Cruz, California, thank you. Anne in Knoxville, Tennessee, thank you. Annette in California, thank you. Fred in Silver Spring, Maryland, glad to have you here today. Linda in Concord, nice to see your beautiful smile. Martha in Oregon, thank you so much for being here. Kathy and Chico in Denver, Anne in Silver Spring, Anne in Nashville, Storm in Massachusetts, Aloysius in Massachusetts, Nancy in Washington State, Kevin Ennis, bringing it up again, day 1308 here in the daily. Thank you so much, Kevin, coming in from New Hampshire. And we're glad you're here today. Busy Graham, director of Carpe Diem Arts. Always love to have you in the room. Thanks for joining us. It was nice to see you singing along. Jane in Texas, thank you so much. Moon in Alexandria, thank you. Caroline in DC, thank you. Kat in Vermont, thank you so much. Curly Tops, thank you so much in Vermont. I'm actually going to shout out Caroline in DC, who is like seriously, like she's the president of the University of Delhi Antidote. So I just want to thank Caroline for all the great chats she puts in this room, and we transfer some of those to the live stream so that you all out there can read them too. Shari in New Hampshire, thanks for being here today. Lynn in Connecticut, glad you made it. Trish in Victoria, nice to see you. And Bob in Massachusetts, glad you're here. Think I got everybody. Thanks so much for being here again today, and we look forward to seeing all of you tomorrow. Thanks again, Eleuthera.